Welcome to Tech Savvy. I'm Leigh Newman, and I'm the Executive Director of Campus Operations on the LaGrange campus at West Georgia Technical College. And it's time for another really good episode of Tech Savvy. We are got lots of stuff going on campus, and I wanted to let everybody know about it. We had an outstanding event on Saturday, the 30th of May, when we had our Friends and Family Day. And we had probably over 200 visitors on campus. We had a car show, we had booths with all our programs, we had blood pressure checks, we had karaoke, we had cupcake walks, and it goes on and on and on. Gave a lot of tours of the facility, and hopefully next year you'll put it on your schedule, because we had hot dogs and chips and popcorn and snow cones and all kinds of fun stuff happening. So put it on your calendar for next year. We also, if you come to visit West Georgia Tech on the LaGrange campus, we've got several big construction projects going on. We're about complete with the Think Academy, and they've moved in. They will be moving into the upstairs hopefully next week, and we will start retrofitting a lot of our areas. So if you come and visit, you'll see that we are still in progress, just making changes to meet the needs of our students. So lots of fun things going on. Now, today's guest, we're excited. I'm excited specifically because I haven't had a chance to really get to know her yet. She's been with us for about a year, and Rachel Hand is our instructor, one of our LPN instructors, and she started about a year ago this month, and we're real excited about what all we're doing over there. Rachel, would you welcome? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I've
you for having me.
heard so many good things about you and what you're doing and how you're handling and dealing with your students and how productive you are, how effective you are. And so I wanted to use this opportunity for me to find out more about you, and also for our viewers to learn more about you. So tell me, how did you get up to, how'd you end up here?
Well, before our earlier conversation, we were talking about how I was pretty much born and bred here in LaGrange. I was actually born in North Carolina, but my family moved down here when I was about 3 to 6 months. And so I've lived here pretty much my whole life.
Right.
Grown up here, graduated from high school here. And
LaGrange High.
LaGrange High, yes ma'am. And then I also graduated from LaGrange College in 2009, where I got my BSN degree in nursing.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's not an easy feat.
No, not by any means easy. Challenging would be a better term I would use for that.
Right.
Excuse me. But after I graduated with my BSN, I went and I had already been working for a year at our local hospital at West Georgia Health in the emergency department.
Emergency.
In emergency. And I had been doing what we called tech work, which is basically like a CNA but in the emergency department. And so I had tech there for my last year of nursing school, and it set me up for a potential nursing job once I graduated. So I've been working in the emergency department ever since then. I continue now, even working full-time at the college, I continue PRN in the emergency department.
That's excellent. Mm-hmm. So you get firsthand experience.
Absolutely. With
and
all
you're
sorts
able,
of stuff.
The value of that is you're able to bring your experiences that you have in the emergency room to your classroom,
Absolutely.
to your students.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that?
Very often. I use stories from my work experience to try and elaborate on points that I'm trying to make or concepts that I'm trying to teach the students about. So.
Can you think of an example right offhand how you've been able to do that?
Well, working in the emergency department, there's a lot of potential patient advocacy scenarios that come into play. Times where a patient may need a specific type of medicine and the doctor doesn't know about it. So it's my job as the patient advocate to relay that information first off to the doctor after learning it from the patient, mm-hmm. Get that information to the doctor so that I can let them know that the patient needs this particular type of medicine. And then in the result, hopefully the doctor goes in, talks to the patient, figures out what medicine it is, orders it appropriately, and then the patient can receive it. So.
Well, that sounds like to me you're like you say, the advocate for your patient, but you are a major help to the doctor in his medical care, mm-hmm. and what he does and what he plans to do to how to treat the patient. How did you learn that? What was part of the learning process? Is that just part of the training that you got with in your nursing programs?
A lot of it I have to attribute to my instructors at LaGrange College. They are wonderful, by the way. And then I also have to chalk it up to my mentor at the emergency department, the current nurse manager over there, Veronica Hopster. She taught me so much about nursing, and she kind of shaped the nurse that I am today. So I thank her with all of my heart.
Oh, that is impressive. Just the fact that you can pinpoint it, and she's pretty good then if she's...
Oh, she's fabulous.
And she teaches, I mean, you can't learn everything in nursing school.
Right. And that's the concept that I'm trying to teach the students about. There's no possible way that we can prepare you for every single experience. So one of our major obstacles as educators is to teach the students how to find the answers that they need, or how to find the answers that they desire, what resources that they have available to them, so that way they can learn for themselves and teach themselves how to learn.
Well, because things change.
They do, constantly.
And technology changes, and medicine changes, and so you can't tell your students in class what's going to be available 5 years from now for your patient care.
Nope, not at all.
That's a great concept to know about, because I mean, you've got to give them the foundation.
Right.
Speaking of foundation, what are some foundational skills that you teach your students in your program?
Some of the skills that we teach them are prioritization, how to delegate certain tasks to maybe CNAs or more advanced nurses, depending on what the task is. They have to know if they're appropriate to be the one to accomplish the task, or if they need to pass it on to somebody else. We teach them skills about physical assessment with their patients, learning how to physically examine a human body and to be able to identify abnormalities in order to be able to relay them to a physician as needed. So those are physical assessment and delegation. Those are very important skills for nursing.
But that certainly are, and that makes sense how you apply it and how you used it as an example. If somebody comes in to the emergency room, you've got to be able to save the doctor's time and effort.
Right.
Of course, then there's always a chance you might miss something because you're not a doctor, you know.
Exactly.
So,
there's always the possibility, but
that's important part of the learning process, I would think.
It is.
And so, well, tell me a little bit of, like, they start off, what are some classes that they'll start, introductory level classes, that when you finally get into the LPN program, because there's a competitive selection process that goes into that, because we have this long waiting list of people that want to be an LPN.
Right.
So once they finally get into the program, what are some classes that they start off with?
Now, unfortunately, the beginning of the program does tend to be a little bit harder for some of the students, just because nursing is a different world, and especially in curriculum, because we focus on different concepts that we have to teach them. The first courses that they take are a fundamentals course, where they learn a lot of their like terminology that they would need throughout nursing, and they also learn their physical skills, things like obtaining vital signs, patient history reports. They also attend a pharmacology class right off the bat. Pharmacology is complicated in itself, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's very, very important, because dosages are very important when it comes to nursing. And when you get into nursing, the nurse is the last person between the patient and the doctor, or the patient and the order of the medicine, that can stop it or intervene if needed. So they really need to understand the dosages. So that's why pharmacology is very important, and that's why we start off with that as one of the classes. Usually when the students get to us, I believe we start in the latter part of August of this upcoming year, and what the students will experience, they'll go through the fundamentals course, and they'll also go through the pharmacology course. Now, we go through what we call mini-mesters, so they don't last the full fall semester. They go for the first 7.5 to 8 weeks, and it's hardcore with those two classes. So it's almost somewhat of a culture shock, because they have to get accustomed to the teachers of the program, me and my cohort professor or faculty, and then
Who's your cohort?
Tara McKean.
Okay, she's new too.
She is. She came about 3 months after me last year. So.
Right.
So the students will go through those two courses, and then they move on to medical surgical courses, and then they move on. Currently, the group that we have now, they will graduate in July, at the end of July, and they are currently in a leadership and a maternity class. So it progresses all the way through.
The maternity class, of course, I want to get to that, but the dummy that we have in our. It is
Noelle.
Noelle is. She has babies.
She does have babies.
And she has trouble having babies sometimes.
She does. She has painful labor sometimes.
She does, and sometimes the baby's upside down. And,
Right.
I mean, it's amazing.
It is. Our simulation lab is amazing.
It is
as to what it can do.
outstanding what all can do and you can do in that. Okay, so what are some? Let's step back and say, in order to get into this, the LPN class, there is competitive selection. So, what are the classes that they will be taking prior? Is it just the core classes?
Yeah, basic core classes, and then they also have to have, I believe, a science with the anatomy beforehand. So
We had Dr. Worthen on last
We
time.
did.
Yes, and he's the anatomy and physiology, or does he just do biology? Or
as far as I know, he's the anatomy and physiology
Okay.
for the students going into the nursing program. Is
he's
my
very
understanding.
impressive.
He is.
He's good, and I think he does a great job. Very lucky to have him on campus too.
Absolutely, he's a great addition.
Oh, well, what are some characteristics of a successful student? Like starting off, what do you look for? What have you seen that works with somebody that's their interest or their?
Well, determination first off is very important for them because, like I said, that first 8 weeks is very rough. They basically have to be able to time manage and prioritize their schoolwork for especially those first few weeks, just because it is so much all of a sudden. And so the coursework being as heavy as it is, they do need to focus a lot on it. So they have to time manage and they have to be able to prioritize their studies.
And critical thinking and
Right.
problem solving, all these are very important skills. And I think that in itself is taught through the core stuff. That's probably a good learning experience to prepare you for that when you go through the core and the pre-nursing program. Right?
Absolutely. I think it's a great addition and it sets them up to be able to develop those skills.
They'll have the skills and be able to develop and use
Right.
them. Well, we're done with our first block, so we'll be back in a few minutes and we'll talk about some more interesting tidbits about our LPN program and West Georgia Tech.
Congratulations, you're in college. It's a great feeling to be on your way to your new career.
But guess what? Getting into college is the easy part. You have to finish college to get the degree.
Did you know that fewer than 1 in 10 students will finish their associate's degree in 2 years? Some students take up to 8 years to finish a degree, and many don't finish at all.
When you go fast to the finish, you can complete your degree quickly, saving you time and money. Time is the enemy when you're in school,
The longer you stay in school, the more likely that life will get in the way.
and that could cause you to slow down or leave school early.
Getting your college degree is the goal. The faster you complete your courses, the faster you can get that degree and move on to your career.
Go fast to the finish and complete your degree on time.
Meet with your advisor to map out your plan to finish on time. Know which classes to take. Take a full course load if possible. And if you knock out your core classes early, your odds of graduating will go up big time.
Your college has many options to help you get there faster. Don't get left behind. Meet with your advisor. Learn your graduation requirements. Schedule your core classes first. Take a full course load and take advantage of all the course options.
By 2020, 66% of U.S. jobs will require a career certificate or college degree. Go fast to the finish and complete your degree on time.
This message is brought to you by the Technical College System of Georgia.
Welcome back to Tech Savvy. We have Rachel Hand here today, and she's one of our instructors for the LPN program. And she's new, and this is my first real official chance to get to know her better, so it's a good opportunity for her to talk to me and to our viewers and tell us what's going on in the LPN program. Okay, Rachel, we were talking about before characteristics and strengths of people, and you were talking about your potential students. And then, of course, we added on that obviously, the students that are getting in line for the program are getting the really essential training in the problem-solving skills and the critical thinking, which is so necessary to be successful in the nursing field.
Absolutely.
So that in itself, while people complain about not getting in, maybe they're not quite ready to get in, so they need to continue with the pre-nursing classes in order to prepare better.
I would definitely suggest that. I know from my personal experiences, which I'm not going to elaborate on, but I know firsthand that things happen for a reason, and I firmly believe that. So if for some reason, if there is a student who has their heart's desire set on getting into the program, they just need to stick with it, because it just may not be the right time. Something else might be going on in their life that requires more of their attention at that time, so things just may work out for them.
But there's always next year, and because it does a cohort, right? You start them in the fall, and they go
Currently, we are only running one cohort. We start in August, and then they go throughout the 3 semesters, and they finish up in July. So it's an 11-month program.
Okay.
We're aiming, the new program director has a goal to hopefully start multiple cohorts, meaning that we would start 1 or 2 classes, because we have 3 campuses that start the LPN program, here in LaGrange, in Coweta, and then up at Murphy.
Right.
And so the 3 campuses, what we would do is 1 cohort would start either at one of them and 2 at the other, or vice versa. And they would start in the fall, and then another cohort would start spring semester in winter. Probably about January. So
Well, that way, if somebody has to miss a class, they could drive to another campus and catch up.
Well, they would be, if they for some reason were unable to finish the requirements for a semester, if their grade failed to meet the requirement to progress, then they would only have to wait maybe 3 months, as opposed to waiting a full year to get back into the program.
That would be wonderful.
That's what we want to do.
Well, the demand's there.
Right, absolutely. And we have more than enough people hopefully interested in the program, which I think we do, but I hope it stays that way.
Obviously we do, but because there is something at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
A great job.
Absolutely.
What are some jobs that are out there now for LPNs?
There's a growing demand for LPNs in the future, and that's what we're gearing up our students for. There's going to be multiple positions available to them. In the future of healthcare is kind of getting into this idea of primary care more so than, focused on the acute care. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to move healthcare services into primary care settings and preventative care settings, which means that there's going to be more doctor's offices, more nurse practitioner offices that require nurses, LPNs primarily, in order to provide nursing care. And so there's going to be a growing demand there. There's also a growing elderly population that will inevitably lead to more people being in nursing homes and
my generation. Yes.
All of us eventually. But yes, so a growing elderly population that need people to be able to care for them.
Right.
People who have the heart that want to be there to help out.
People are living longer too.
Exactly.
Because of the preventative care. I really feel like that's very important. And obviously that's what the healthcare industry and the Affordable Care Act and all that is promoting, is take care of yourself early on, so you'll not be so sick all along the way.
Exactly. With us living longer, we just tend to acquire more diseases, and so with that longevity that comes along with it, or bad habits, yes. So a combination of it, but they need people there to give them care. So
well, that's encouraging, just to for somebody that, of course, in my case, I could never be a nurse. I mean, I have just can't take care of other people. I mean, I have a hard time taking care of myself. I'm just not one of those sympathetic people, and you got to be sympathetic if you're going to be a nurse.
True. I would probably call it maybe more empathetic than sympathetic, but yeah.
And caring and concerned.
You definitely have to have a heart for it. And if it's not something that you feel in your heart, maybe there's something else that might better suit you.
I'm still looking. But I think it's like, nurses are a special special breed all by themselves.
They are.
And they've got the just extra something that allows them to be concerned about everybody else and take care of everybody else and just want what's best.
Right.
No
It's
matter
definitely
what.
a calling, I would say.
It is most definitely a calling, and it's a very important calling. And so
I agree.
it's so important to have good instructors to prepare students for this type of life. You just, I mean, I guess if you see some students that just don't seem to have that empathy, or how do you teach somebody to have that? Do you ever had that happen?
I've seen it rarely since I haven't been here very long. I don't have a whole lot of examples to go off of, but it's something that you try and preach it to your students and just let them know that it's not about them anymore. It's about their patients. That is their ultimate goal, and that is their ultimate responsibility is patients. You know?
Well, that's a
It's
key
almost like
thought.
having children. You know, once you have a child, it's not about you anymore. It's
I know.
about them.
All of
So-
a sudden, yeah, you've got somebody else that's dependent on you.
Right.
So that's so important. All right. Well, tell me. I think you were just saying that clinicals is a vital part of your program,
Absolutely.
and it's essential to the process and the hands-on. And describe the first day your students go to clinicals.
Deer in headlights. That's how they all look. I strongly urge anyone who is interested in nursing, period, whether it be the LPN or RN program, that they acquire a CNA or get some experience in a hospital prior to coming into it. I think it will help with their comfort level. The first day of clinicals is pretty much a culture shock. The students have to go in and they have to get very up close and personal with their patients, giving them baths and transporting them and rotating them in the bed and things like that. So, and being able to talk to them. Some people just have a difficult time talking to strangers, and that's the first couple of clinical days are kind of geared towards that, trying to
Get to know the patient.
get to know them and to feel comfortable in a healthcare setting, because it's very important. If you don't feel comfortable there, you won't feel comfortable sticking up for your patient if you need to. So
Well, I mean, they're in pain.
They
are
are, some
unhappy.
of
They're
them.
sick. So they're not going to be nice.
right. And so learning to accommodate to different types of patients and learning how to react when people are mad or angry, not necessarily at you, but just in general.
Just in general, because they don't feel well.
right.
And that's something that probably takes a while to understand.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to make that transition. But luckily, I mean, we've had a wonderful group here currently, and they've been able to make that transition. They've learned.
Where do they do clinicals?
We did some clinical time. Personally, I was instructing over at Twin Fountains Nursing Home, but we collaborate with the local healthcare system, and we get into the nursing homes and assisted living facilities here in order to get some clinical experience. And then we moved from there into the hospital.
Right.
And also primary care settings. So our students not only did clinical time, like in the nursing home or in the hospital, they've also done shadowing time, which means that they go to like a pediatrician's office and they can follow either an MA, a medical assistant, or they can follow an LPN or RN, whoever it is that they have on staff in the facility.
Right.
And just see what they do on a day-to-day basis, interact with patients and shadow. They're there to observe. So.
What about, you said something about maternity care and management classes. So what do those involve?
Well, currently now, our students are involved in a maternity class and coordinating clinical sites. So they're doing clinicals up on the maternity floor of our
Okay.
hospital here. And then they're also in leadership. And with the leadership, the clinical aspect of that is what we call a preceptorship, which means that the nursing students are paired up with an LPN or an RN here in the local community, and they work their shift. So if it's a nurse that works 3 12-hour shifts on the 6th floor of the hospital, they go and they work 3 12-hour shifts on the 6th floor of the hospital
With this person?
with that person. And they work underneath that person's nursing license.
Right.
And so that means that they can pretty much do the activities that that person can do under their guidance and care. So
Well, that is a awesome opportunity.
it is. I've had a lot of students come to me because they've just started their preceptorship. So I've had a lot of them come to me and talk to me about how they've enjoyed it and different experiences that they've encountered, and how they've handled it. And they've loved it. A lot of medication experience, handing out medicines and getting to deal with them. So they've really appreciated
And they
the
get to
experience.
see patients get better.
Right.
And that makes it all worthwhile.
It does.
That's
the end game.
That is awesome. Some of our viewers might be interested or thinking about going into healthcare. have you got any suggestions, or, I mean, like, ask certain questions? Do you probe to find out what, do they like to see the sight of blood? Do they, things like that? How do you recruit a student?
Well, we talk to them first off about their passion. I mean, if they have a passion for caring for people and things like that, that's something that we want to know first and foremost, because once again, it's no longer about them once they get into nursing, it's about others.
Right.
And doing everything that they can. So we talk to them about having, the passion for caring for other people. We also talk to them about being able to, prioritize their time and things like that. If they have the time and the financials in order to be able to get through a program right now, and depending on their financial status, whether or not they should go into this route, which like a faster route, maybe for an LPN degree, or if they have the time where they can do it slowly, if they want to go into like an RN degree. So we figure out which route works better for them and try and help them. So try to guide
it's
them.
an individual situation
It
on
is.
each one of them. You
Most
have to
definitely.
Well, that's certainly good. Well, Rachel, we've run out of time.
Oh,
I know it. Well, will you come back to visit?
absolutely.
And keep us informed, and we'll have to have chapter 2 at the end of your second year and see what kind of experiences you've had and what kind of successes you've had, because I can tell you're going to have lots of them.
Well, I hope to.
I hope so too, and thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for all you do.
Well,
and
thank you
thank
for
you from
having
the
me.
students, because I know you make a big difference in their lives.
I hope so.
I'm sure you do, and it's been great having you on here.
Thank you.
And that ends up our episode today on Tech Savvy. Look forward to seeing you again on the next one.
I graduated from Troop High School. I took 1 year off, and now I'm taking some core classes at West Georgia Technical College. I'm taking some traditional classes at the college, and I'm also taking some hybrid classes online. I go to the library after class and study, and I also study at home. I plan to finish my core classes at West Georgia Technical College and then transfer to a 4-year college. It's convenient taking online classes because if I have a question, I can email my teachers, and also I can take my quizzes while I'm on my break at work.
I'm currently enrolled in Business Administrative Technology, and I have my bachelor's in math. I work in the Adult Education Department at West Georgia Technical College. I usually study in my office after work, in the library, or at home, and a lot of times I use my laptop and my iPad for studying. I plan to graduate by next summer at the end of July. I would love to have any type of job in an office setting, anything where I can work directly with people who are seeking any type of information. I participated in the first ever study abroad program for West Georgia Technical College, and we went to Ireland where we traveled from Dublin to Belfast. The best part of online learning is that if you have a laptop, you can take school with you wherever you go.